These strings I have in my left hand are synthetic gut strings, which cost about $6 or so, and these strings are natural gut strings, which cost about $60 or so. So why doesn't everyone just save money and use these rather than spend the money and use these? Well, there's many reasons to use each of these. There's a reason why a lot of higher-end players prefer the natural gut, and there's a reason why lower-end players learning the game would be a better fit for a synthetic gut. In this brief video, we'll talk a little bit about the differences, who should use what string, and what would be the best fit, and some of the key differences between these strings. We'll talk about that coming up. So running my own shop, I get asked all the time, what's the best fit for me? What's your budget? What type of player are you? Are you just getting into the game? Here at Frisco Tennis Stringing, where we offer courses, classes, and consultations. You can see the link below if interested. But we do it every day pretty much, where we have to gather information on what type of player the customer is and what would be the best fit for that type of player. So let's talk a little bit about what natural gut is and why it's so expensive. It is the most expensive string on the market. It's actually made from cow intestine, as a lot of people know, but because it's natural and made from a cow, it makes it the most expensive. So you pay more for it, but the reason why people pay more for it because it's premier in several categories. Comfort on the arm. If anyone has any arm issues, I recommend natural gut if they're intermediate to advanced. If anyone wants comfort at contact, if anybody wants feel at contact, the connection between the racket and yourself, in my view, is second to none, especially if you're advanced and want to hybrid it. So natural gut, and most importantly, has the best tension maintenance. If you look at all strings, they will lose over time, especially poly. Natural gut, I believe it loses a bit and then it can plateau. So you can even spend the money, arguably, if you're not a string breaker, you can spend the money up front, but maybe save money on the back end if you don't break strings, but that's going to hold that tension really well. Me personally, I'm in a tennis league, and I always come home to the Wilson Champion Choice, which is a natural gut main with a polyester cross. Polyester cross brings that ball back a bit. I've demoed as many strings as I can, and maybe I will change one day, but I always come home to the natural gut Champion Choice hybrid. And it cost me a bit more, but I'm totally fine with it. I do feel like it lasts me quite a bit of time due to the tension maintenance of the natural gut. I'm maybe a little bit on the higher end skill level, so I'm totally fine paying for it, and I do think I would notice it if I went cheap and replaced with something like the synthetic gut, which we'll talk about now. And although synthetic guts are cheaper, there's really nothing wrong with them. I know a lot of higher end players that don't use it as a full bed, but they can soften up a firmer string by putting a synthetic gut as a cross, which is a good affordable way to soften up a string bed. So there's certainly nothing wrong with synthetic guts. Ideally, synthetic guts are just best for beginner, I would say, to intermediate, because at that level, you experiment with the different strings. Really, the differences aren't really going to be noticeable for you. So spending a lot of money on strings doesn't really make a lot of sense at that skill level. Now you get to a higher end, you will start to notice those subtle differences. With synthetic guts, usually just a nylon core surrounded by wraps, different wraps of like different polymers. You'll see a lot of stuff like this has Duraflex, and you'll hear a lot of terms like that. But basically, it's made of nylon with a solid core and some wraps, as opposed to, you'll hear a string called multi-filament, which is also usually a nylon-based string, but it doesn't have the solid core that synthetic gut does, which is nice because it gives a little bit more durability. Usually, if you see rackets, usually beginner rackets that are pre-strung, a lot of the times it's going to have a synthetic gut because it's low-priced, and like I said, a beginner player would be a good fit for a synthetic gut string. So just in summary, higher end, high intermediate to advanced, using a natural gut string usually is worth the price because you will notice the difference at contact. You get the comfort, but you don't really have the, I would say, unplayability of some of the synthetic gut strings where it's hard to keep the ball in. There's a lot of string movement. The feel at contact isn't the best. But a synthetic gut string, if you're a beginner intermediate, you will probably not even notice it if you just do a full bit of that as you're learning the game, and then you can experiment as time goes by. But I hope you found this information useful, comparing synthetic gut and natural gut. There's a market for everyone, just like cars. There's nothing wrong with a lower end price car if it gets you from A to B compared to a higher end car. It all kind of does the same thing. It's just what are you specifically looking for and what type of player or driver are you. So I hope you found this information useful. Again, my name is Drew Clifton from Frisco Tennis Stringing. If you're interested, see the link below where we offer courses, consultations, and classes. It could be a good fit for you. So I hope you found this information useful, and I hope to talk soon.